Welcome to Seismic Sound Off, exploring the depth and usefulness of geophysics for the scientific community and the public. I'm your host, Andrew Geary. SEG Scholarships encourage the study of geophysics in universities worldwide. In this special episode, we feature two scholarship recipients and the founder of a new scholarship program. I first speak with Manika Prasad. She co-founded the SEG Educational Equity Scholarship to support underrepresented students in their study area or that bring diversity to their attending university. Manika shares what she hopes the scholarship will achieve and why the SEG scholarships matter to the industry's future. Next, I speak with two scholarship recipients, Juliet Nneamaka and Sharmila Appini. They share how they learned about the SEG scholarships and how it made them better students and geophysicists. They also share what the scholarships allowed them to achieve and one lesson they will take away from their experience. This episode will leave no doubt of the power of the SEG scholarships to benefit the society, geophysics, and individual lives. Since the number of scholarships depends primarily upon the number of sponsors and the amounts they contribute, each donation matters. This episode will provide the reasons and the voices for how your donation could change the science of geophysics and someone's life. To read the complete show notes and to provide your donation, visit seg.org/podcast or check out the description where you are listening to this episode. First, my conversation with Manika Prasad. So, Manika, if you would just kind of briefly provide an overview of the types of student scholarships SEG offers and maybe the scale of what the giving is to those scholarships.
There is a large number of scholarships that SEG offers. There is both topical as well as named scholarships. So there are scholarships that are endowed funds from various names that are there. Plus, there are scholarships for specific programs such as field camp or graduate studies and so on. So if I were to count them up, we would finish the hour here. But there are a number of scholarships, and the scale of giving, I think if you are initiating something, it's slightly higher, and I think 20 to 25, 30K or something. I don't know what the current numbers are. Otherwise, it can be anything. I think the sentiment is what counts rather than the amount. From my perspective, it's if it's become something that is really widely accepted and our profession recognizes there are students that might not have the funds to study, or they might end up with large student loans. And also there are students who are really deserving of recognition from a professional society to say they've really accomplished a lot in their research or in their performance that should be acknowledged with scholarships.
Yeah, I like that. It's not only just the money offered the students that will significantly help them in their education, but it's also the recognition that the society offers. I think that's a wonderful way to look at it as well. And one of the things that we're bringing you on today to talk about is a newer scholarship for the SEG, and it's called the SEG Educational Equity Scholarship. Could you tell us a little bit about this new scholarship?
Oh, right. This is something that the SEG started, and it's fantastic because there is a lack of diversity in the geosciences. It is in many STEM fields, but in geosciences, and this has been pointed out since I think the 70s, maybe even earlier, by various articles, journal articles, popular trade articles, and so on, saying we need the diversity in the field, and yet we have failed to accomplish it. What I like about the equity scholarship at SEG is to say we will attempt to take care of part of the financial burden and have students apply to this. So that's sort of my take on what SEG is trying to do, is to create pathways for students who would be looking to say, well, I don't know if I can afford this study program. They would apply to this scholarship so that we get more people, more different types of people, more diverse body of people graduating from earth sciences.
Yeah, it's a wonderful thing that SEG is initiating here. And if we're flash forwarding to 10 years from now, it's 2032, and you're looking at the recipients and the success of the SEG Educational Equity Scholarship, what would success look like? What do you hope this achieves over the next 5 to 10 years of having this new scholarship?
Oh, that's an interesting question. Let's say fast forward 5 years. The equity scholarship is for undergraduate students. 5 years from now, they should be finishing, be in their first jobs, perhaps at graduate studies. So that we would see them entering the workforce or the graduate programs. And then 10 years from now, I hope that we will see such students in the workforce at many levels, early career professionals, but early career professionals that have enough mentorship over the course of their this scholarship, where they see pathways to being leaders, to see pathways that they can be role models for others to follow, and they might sort of encourage others to follow in their footsteps. So I'm looking at this as creating a pipeline of a new generation of young early career professionals.
Yeah, the podcast recently featured Mentoring 365, and it's just great to see mentoring just continue to get a front seat, important view on the geosciences in general to reach the goals that a lot of the industry has to make it a more diverse and representative field. And as part of the application for scholarships, the students are asked to describe in part how SEG might help increase representation. And I was curious from your perspective, what steps SEG could take to increase representation in the geosciences and within the SEG as well.
Oh, that's such a loaded question. It can get me in trouble at SEG and they would revoke my membership. No, but seriously, SEG, every professional society can do a lot. And it's not money. I think money is a small part of that whole equation. The bigger part is to mentor and foster pathways for people to grow, both within the society and within the profession. And I think that is really lacking. So within SEG, I think we should be actively making sure that there is representation on, if not every committee, but as far as possible in committees, actively going out to recruit people to say, you are working in this field, would you consider being part of the committee, part of the leadership, part of, first learn and be a committee member. At some point, there is the understanding that if you are very involved and if you like, you should be leading. So that understanding doesn't exist, especially for people outside of US, perhaps US and Europe, where most people I speak to perceive this as being you have to be based in the US, based in Europe, maybe to a lesser factor, to be anywhere in the leadership. So that part, I think, needs to change. What can SEG do? Actively recruit, actively keep track of, keep metrics of. One of the successes would be to have a metric on diversity within SEG, within every aspect of SEG. We don't have that metric, right? So if we were to publish it on SEG, one of the SEG websites, to say, here's how things are changing within SEG. Here's all the committees. Here's the diversity in every committee. Both in every type of diversity, right? Geographic diversity, gender diversity, profession diversity, location, everything, race-based diversity, everything that we can think of. We should be taking some key factors and putting them out there so that we can measure ourselves and say, oh, shoot, I'm in this committee and look at my committee performance. Maybe I should do something more. So it's really on each one of us, right? Because we belong to committees. SEG is a professional organization. It's run on volunteer basis. So the people running the committees, the people at the board and so on, they are all colleagues, right? So we can, each one of us, do our part to make sure the area where I'm active in has people from has a much broader reach within which we recruit folks to join. And if someone expresses an interest and a desire to be in a committee, but they're not very well prepared, then we have a program, or we take it upon ourselves to mentor them and say, you're missing this and this. How about you work alongside me and we'll go through what it needs. Those are some of the small things that we can do. It's not a major programmatic change, right? It's not a big change that requires a lot of resources that are not available sometimes. So small steps.
Yeah, I like that too. Just the nice reminder to be proactive, and that volunteers run a lot of SEG within these committees, and even committees themselves could maybe get unique and try some new things within their own committee to see what works, and just kind of have a little bunch of small experiments across all the different committees could be interesting to see. The amount that SEG could offer in these scholarships is highly variable depending on the number of donors each year to the scholarship program. What would you say to a donor considering giving to the SEG student scholarships?
Oh, just do it. Come on. It's not. So here's the thing. Geophysicists graduating with a degree, you can be sure you will have a job. And if you have a job, you can be sure that you have enough to live on. You're not going from month to month. And so if you take out the equivalent of your latte every morning, it's what today's charges, $5, $10 for the morning local coffee shop. You put that every day, put it aside, just donate it. In other words, if you're employed, it's not big money. And so I think part of it is to have this culture of donation. And that is what we might want to foster. Have a culture of donating to a program. It doesn't have to be SEG, it can be any other program, but have a culture of donating. Not just when you have tens, hundreds of thousands to donate, but at every step of the way. Once you're in your profession, you're comfortable 5 years down the road, that's when you want to start and look at how might you support others.
I love that, a culture of donation. That's a wonderful thing to cultivate in yourself, I think. And that can look like so many things, whether it's mentoring or money or volunteering on a committee. Yeah, I want to end just kind of lastly with a more general question. What principle, teaching, or point of view has helped you succeed in your field?
Oh, to not be distracted. I think no profession is perfect and no job is perfect. I was an undergraduate. I was the only woman in my class. There were others were all guys. And I did not know what I knew, and I did not know what the others didn't know until my person in charge of the program, I consider him my earliest mentor. This professor told me, don't worry about the guys. They will only distract you because you know more than them. And I looked at that and said, for someone to tell me this was amazing. So I think that's the part where I'm passionate about mentoring. I'm passionate about making sure that people know and we tell people whom we can mentor and that they have values and they have strengths and they should build on it. So there will be always distractions or detractors. And what I have found is at the end of the day, I need to take out what is the distraction and what is it that I set out to do and stick with it. There can be things that are happening where you say, oh, I'll join this, I'll do that. But you need to know what exactly you want. And if you want to be doing a certain thing, then look at that one or multiple things or your goal and check for what takes you to that goal and what is a distraction. Sometimes it's useful, but if you keep that goal in mind, then the distractions are easier to identify. And that, I think, has helped me a lot. It's always a diffuse goal. It's never, okay, I'm going from, it's not like a 1,000-meter or a marathon. You have an end goal in place, in mind. It is sort of a diffuse thing, but at the basics of it, there is something that you really gives you satisfaction, professional satisfaction.
Next, my conversation with Juliet Nneamaka. But let's go back a few years ago, and what was going on in your life that led you to apply for an SEG scholarship?
I was in a state whereby I don't know what to do, because after I completed my MSc, I couldn't get a job due to the situation in my country. I'm from Nigeria. I wanted to further. I did not have much money to further my education to do my PhD. I had to pick a teaching job in a private school. I was just being paid less than $30 per month. So with that, I could barely do something for myself. I could barely get my form for the PhD program and to complete the program. So I had to get some loans from friends and family. I got the form, and then when I got the form, so I remember that I could, because I've been a SEG member. I was one of the founding members of SEG in my chapter in my school, Nneamaka University, because it's the same school that I did my BSc undergraduate program. So we were the founding members of SEG chapter in the school. So I remember that I can take benefit of this SEG scholarship. So I said, okay, let me apply and just believe that I'm going to be awarded a scholarship. And that day is still very very clear in my brain, because it was a memorable day in my life. On 30th of May 2021, I received an email from SEG that I've been awarded the scholarship. I was so excited.
How did you find your scholarship impacting how you engaged with SEG from that point forward? You said you were already a founding member, of a student chapter. So did it change how you, what happened after the scholarship?
As a founding member of the scholarship, I was very happy when I got the scholarship, because I had more reason to encourage people to join the program. Because most times when you're telling students about joining this organization, like SEG and other organizations in the school, they see it as maybe wasting of their time that is not necessary. But when I got the scholarship, I had tangible results, tangible things to use and convince them. Tangible evidence to convince the student. I told them, see, this could be you. If I can get it, then you can get it. I'm not just encouraging you to join SEG so as to get this scholarship, because definitely everybody might not be a scholar, but the other programs that SEG is organizing, you can benefit from this program. I was also able to go back to the secondary school where I was teaching to encourage them that if I can get this, you can also get it. So don't give up on your education. Be focused. And many of them are doing well now.
In what ways did your SEG scholarship help you? I mean, if at all, in what ways did the SEG scholarship help you maybe be a better student and future geophysicist / current geophysicist? Because I'm sure you're working now.
To be honest with you, with that SEG scholarship, I wouldn't have been a student. No. Without that SEG scholarship, I wouldn't have been able to continue this PhD program, because I was in a state where I couldn't even afford to pay my tuition. And most importantly, made me a student that I am today. The PhD student that I am today is because I got this SEG scholarship. And secondly, it has helped me to go for a lot of trainings, a lot of seminars. I was also able to improve my research. There are sometimes you are researching on a topic, and the article that you might need is something that you have to pay for. And so being a SEG scholar, I was able to pay for these articles and download them, study them, and then they have all been of a very good benefit to me.
This is a lot of positive things, and this doesn't necessarily have to be a negative thing, but as you're on the front lines as a student, working with students, engaging with students, looking towards your career and what that will look like. What is one way SEG could better support students and future geophysicists, in your opinion?
I will use this opportunity to first say thank you to SEG, because SEG have been so supportive. It's not just me, but most of the students. But to answer your question, another way I would like them to, another area I would like them to look into is giving students opportunity for internships. I know many SEG members, many of them are in the industry, many of them might also be in the academic. I would like them to, especially those in the industry, to help students to get these internship opportunities in the industry, especially those from my area. When I'm talking about mostly about those from my area, because I know what we are facing. Most times when you come out, maybe as a master student, you don't even have any place to practice what you have studied. It's just that academic research you were able to do. You don't have industrial experience, But if SEG will help us to be getting some placements for internship, I know that will be well appreciated by the students. Thank you.
I appreciate you sharing that perspective there. And I really also appreciate how you're speaking about your community and what you're seeing. It's so hard being a global organization for SEG to be aware of everything going on in these different places. So it's great for you to speak up about what you're seeing there. And, lastly here, what is one lesson you will take away from the rest of your career through this scholarship experience?
I would say perseverance, because like I told you initially, I almost wanted to give up, to be sincere, until SEG met me. I can even tell you that SEG did not just give me scholarship, they gave me life. So what I picked up from that is perseverance. Don't give up. Just keep looking forward. One day, things will change. So what I picked up from SEG Scholarship, and I'm honestly telling you this, is perseverance. Because I know where I was before SEG Scholarship met me. It has been of a very huge help to me.
Well, I feel like you're just showing perseverance and navigating the difficulties of getting to this conversation. So thank you for living that even here. Is there anything else you would like to share that you weren't quite able to say?
This is a very great opportunity for me to say thanks. Say a very big thank you to SEG. SEG, you have really impacted a lot of students in my community, in my school, a lot of students in Nigeria. They are happy because SEG has impacted them, both those that got the scholarship or those that have been impacted in many of the SEG programs. SEG has made us to be able to be academically, consistently doing something that is helping us academically. Most of the programs that they design, online programs, the webinars, even the student chapter, I know how much SEG is also pumping into my student chapter. A lot of program is being organized using those income. So I want to use this opportunity to say thank you so much to SEG, so all the donors, because I know most of these things, these funds are donated by wonderful people. I know the first scholarship I received were donated by a family, I think a husband and a wife. I want to say special thank you to them. I want to say special thank you to Chevron. They have also been a very powerful donor in SEG, and every other donors. I'm so grateful. On behalf of my student chapter, Nanda School University, Awka, Nigeria, Anambra State, Nigeria, we are very grateful to SEG, and we are saying thank you so very much to all the donors.
Lastly, my conversation with Sharmila Appini. What was going on in your life that led you to apply for an SEG scholarship?
Well, back in India, when I was doing my bachelor's, I wasn't very aware of all the global scholarship opportunities that were provided in this community. And then I moved to the US and as a master's student, and that's where it gets really expensive. So I was looking around for all sorts of opportunities that can support my master's. Eventually, I joined my research group that is led by Dr. Inchai Jeng. And he was the one who actually introduced me to SEG and its scholarship program. So a huge thank you to him for guiding me through these opportunities. And so I looked into it. I found out that it actually can provide me great exposure, like it can connect me with more people in this field. So I was excited and I just applied it, and I'm so glad I did.
Yeah, and you're currently an SEG scholarship recipient. In what ways do you feel the SEG scholarship is helping you be a better student and in turn will be a better geophysicist?
Well, it helped me in many ways. Firstly, as I said, it is not very easy to financially support ourselves being in a foreign country. So these kind of scholarships give us more time to focus on our studies and research and our career, basically, for which we actually came here for. Apart from that, I personally got a lot of exposure through student chapter and through attending these conferences. I felt like I interacted with a lot of people. I came to know that, there are a lot of people like me on the same boat. I interacted with experts. I got to know about their journeys, how they started and where they are at right now. And these experiences, I can say, like, influence my career options, like, eventually.
Is there anything that you would have not been able to achieve without your SEG scholarships?
Apart from the financial assistance, I would say I would have probably not been very active in these extracurricular activities. I would have not been a part of the student chapter. And being involved in these events, I felt like this has developed my interpersonal skills significantly, and it gave me a great confidence. Like, these networking sessions provide me with such moral support that, it inspires me to achieve bigger things in the future. And I feel like, getting a global recognition like this gives a true validation that, I am on the right career path. This is what I want to pursue, and people are supporting me. So that's, I think, a good feeling. And of course, if it were not for this scholarship, I wouldn't have been here today talking to you on this podcast.
Yeah, that's a very specific way. But yeah, that external validation could be so helpful, I know. And it's kind of changing pace a little bit. And this isn't necessarily a negative question, but I think as a student, you're in the middle of it, learning and going through it now. Is there a way, what is one way SEG could better support students and future geophysicists?
One thing I personally feel SEG could do more on is they can probably work towards creating more opportunities for students outside the US. Like, I'm aware that SEG provides offers scholarships outside for students outside the US. And it's very hard to reach out to each and every student and college in every part of the world. But I would think that, like, through collaborations with colleges and companies, maybe they can offer more foreign internship opportunities, more travel grants. That way, students will be, encouraged and inspired to pursue geosciences. I think there are a lot of, there are hundreds and thousands of girls like me outside US who would really love these opportunities and love to have this exposure. So that's one thing. And the other thing I would say is maybe they can also target the school children, like promote the geosciences, because I think it's a bit of a lack of awareness about the geosciences in the school level, in the grassroots level. So that way, more students will be excited to know that, global opportunities are huge for earth sciences. So that can maybe encourage them to pursue,
Yeah, it makes so much intuitive sense that children would just love the idea of earth sciences in general. I mean, it's just such a cool thing to talk about and think about, and that you could understand rocks in the earth and that. So I think that's a great takeaway there. What is one lesson that you're going to take away in the future for the rest of your career through this scholarship experience?
The biggest lesson for me is that there's nothing wrong in giving it a try, right? Like, we can always choose to sit in a room and do our own research. There's nothing wrong with it. But it is so much more fun to just go out and see what's around. Like, you'll be amazed to see how many students are on the same boat, and how many students are looking for opportunities and participating in these networking sessions and conferences, presenting your research work. and getting criticized from the experts, getting opinions from the experts, connecting with these successful scientists, applying to all these opportunities. These little things can actually keep us more motivated, like constantly, and make this journey more beautiful. Like, it's all about the process, right? I feel like if the process is correct, then eventually the results have to be inevitable. So that's the biggest lesson for me.
I think that lesson is going to serve you very well. Is there anything you would like to say that you haven't had a chance to say?
I am very grateful to be a student and be a part of this podcast. Again, this is just a start, and I feel like there's a lot more coming, and I'd love to have more such encounters with SEG at various stages of my career.
You reached the end of Seismic Sound Off. Thank you for listening to this episode. If you want to be the first to know about the next episode, please follow or subscribe to the podcast wherever you listen to podcasts. 2 of my favorites are Apple Podcasts and Spotify. If you have episode ideas, feedback for the show, or want to sponsor a future episode, visit seg.org/podcast and find the box titled Contact Seismic Sound Off. Zach Bridges created original music for this show. This episode was hosted, edited, and produced by me, Andrew Geary at Treasurement. The SEG podcast team is Jennifer Cobb, Kathy Gamble, and Allie McGinnis. Thank you for listening. This is Seismic Sound Off, signaling off.